Welcome, welcome. We've got our signature SHAKTIBARRE class, roughly 50 to 55 minutes today. And so in terms of our setup, the space that you're going to be moving in, whether it be a mat or you've just chosen some space on the floor, maybe you have your assistant somewhere in the background, which is always fun. But also something that you'll be using, whether it be hand weights or a variety thereof, something that's equal weight for both hands, core ball or equivalent, be pillow. And then I'm actually going to be using a block today. So if you've got a really thick book that feels sturdy in place of a block, if you don't have a block, or a handful of pillows, something that you'll be able to rest your heels on so that we're up on our toes for a little while doing some quad specific work. That being said, on your feet, if you're not already there, taking some deep breaths in and out. This moment to really settle in on your feet, feeling pressure underneath your heels, your toes. Big exhale. Just give yourself a moment for your intention, for your movements. While you're here, whether it be releasing something. We did have our new moon, at least at the time of this recording, over the weekend. So usually that means planting the seeds in order for something to grow. All right, inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Lift up, flat back, inhale, halfway. Said those words out of order. Exhale, hands down, back into your plank. Hanging out here. It could be with your toes tucked. Fingers definitely spread wide either way, even if your knees are down on the ground like mine. Pull your belly button up towards the ceiling, or consider the act of it. See how it feels to try and draw your belly button closer to your spine. Stabilize. Exhale. Lower your chest towards the ground. Halfway. Elbows in. Untuck your toes. Inhale. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Do some heel pedals. So knee bends, one heel reaches towards the floor, big stretch for your ankle, then switch. Other heel reaches, stretch. Good. Let's do 15 seconds here. Really waking your feet up. Try to spread your toes pretty wide. 1 or 2 seconds in your stretch. One more side. Make your way to the top of your mat with your feet. You can walk, you can hop. Inhale, sweep your arms out to the side, then overhead. Good. Exhale, hands down. All right, bring your arms in front. We'll do a little bit of a knee raise. Up, up, up. This seems really like a simple warm-up. Nothing super high energy, but honestly, really good way to prep your midsection front and back to do a little bit more of a neutral but stabilizing shape in your spine. So focusing to make sure your hips don't tuck under, your low back doesn't pop out every time your knees come up. Got your shoulders over your hips. We're holding strong at center. For 4, 3, 2, both feet plant down. Inhale, arms reach again. Exhale, sweep your arms out and down. Fold. Inhale, lift up halfway again. Exhale, hands down to your mat. Plant strongly, step back against your plank. Holding out in your plank either statically or toe taps. Out and in. Alternate side to side. One side and the other. See if you can keep your gaze on your fingertips. Hips are staying stable in one spot. 5 seconds. 2, 1. Feet at center, lowering halfway again, elbows tucked in. Inhale, untuck into your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Do one kind of like a hip stretch. Reach your right leg up. Just kind of wiggle your ankle around, point through your toes, flex point, circles. Switch sides. Reach, inhale. All right, both feet down. Top of your mat. Walk your feet or hop. Come on up. Hip circles, using your knees. Out and around, tap. Lift up back to center. Other side. Out around, tap. Back to center. With all the external rotation we do in barre, really great to get our hips warmed up. Activate a little bit of a squeeze in your glutes too. Lower glutes, smaller glute muscles. One more each side. Back to center. Second side. All right, both feet down. Inhale, reach. One more flow as you exhale wide. Fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, step back. One breath, one movement. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, untuck. Lift, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. And make your way to the top of your mat. Once more. Staying up here for our upper body work. All right, grab onto your weights. Slight mistake of me to wear this long sleeve. I thought it was going to be cold in my apartment. All right, wide second, heels in, slight turn out with your toes. Set up to make sure your knees are lined up with second, third toes of your feet. Palms face up. Do for a light lift. A little bit of a pulse. Lift, lift. So static in your hips to begin with. We've got our pulsing movement and our shoulders. Good. Now when you feel really solid in your feet, feeling all right with your shoulders, your hips, if you want, you can add a pulse up and down in your hips as you also lift your hands up at 1 or 2 inches. Up, up. Keep it going, 30 seconds. We're thinking maybe of the idea along the theme of things growing in through the waxing phases of the moon. How is your breath growing, perhaps in strength as you move? Awareness of your breath. Just a couple of points of inspiration for you if you need. About 10 more seconds left. We don't want to really necessarily grow in pace, because that might mean some hyperventilating. 3, 2, 1, palms now face forward, slight bend your elbows, reach your hands in front, now hands overhead. Good, lower hands down, open out wide, don't straighten your elbows though. Back to center, lift up overhead, lower down, out to the side view, so you can see shoulder or chest rather is not pushing forward, hands come up overhead, big exhale, lower down, out to the side if you want to speed it up. Forward, lift, lower, out. Forward, lift, lower, out. If you want, as you lift your arms overhead, you can straighten through your knees. Lower back down. Forward, up, lower, out. A little bit of a hug in front, and back down. I'm always really appreciative of our time on Tuesdays. I don't get enough movement in during the week. So even though I can't see your faces, I really feel the energy when I'm moving. Hopefully it translates for you too. A few more seconds, about 10 seconds. Next time you open up your arms wide, hang out there, flip your palms down, circle back, 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 back. Shoulder blades really glide down your back towards your hips. Keep your neck long, circle, circle. 2 more seconds back, then we'll go forward. 4, 3, 2, 1, circle, forward, 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 forward. 10 more seconds, you got it. Really pull your shoulder blades down, holding strong through your center for 3, for 2, 1. Come back up. Straighten to your knees. All right, palms face forward. If you need to up your weights to your biceps, go for it. Elbows tuck in. Do alternating curls. Squeeze, squeeze. Right at neutral with our feet. Make sure you got some softness in your knees. We're not locking back. We're not trying to push the backs of our knees behind us. Just enough softness. You can keep your shoulders and your hips in line with your ankles. Could be an option for the block that I mentioned before. Could be underneath your heels, or if you want to come off of your heels with toes parallel rather than externally rotated, would be a great option too. Working on ankle strength, balance, especially since we've got alternating sides with our hands. It can throw you off balance if you're not holding strong at center, but I know you are. Squeeze, squeeze. 10 more seconds. Go for a pulse. It'll be both sides at the same time. 4, 3, 2, hands at 90 degrees in line with your elbows. Lift up, up, up. So if you got heels up, maybe a slight bend in your knees. Knees can cross forward in front of your toes. Squeeze, squeeze. Got our lift. Chest is feeling really strong with your elbows well tucked into your sides. A little bit of a heart lift going on as well. So you think about your head reaching up towards the ceiling. Really well and strong too. All right, 10 seconds. Some breaths in and out. 4, 3, 2. Keeping your elbows 90 degrees. Do that slight reach forward for a bench stretch. Or you reach your fingertips forward, forward, forward. No full straightening to your elbows. Reason being, bench stretch for our biceps. Biceps look to hinge at your elbow, to pull your hand towards your shoulder. So we're looking to keep enough of a bend in your elbow so that your muscles engaged the whole way through. It's just enough of a reach forward. And really, really in a bench stretch here, if you focus on that pulling back, recoiling back from your reach for an extra flex in your biceps. Good. Reach, pull, reach, pull. 15 seconds. And if you're still hanging out with heels off the ground and knees bent now, maybe a pulse. Up and down as you reach. Slight lift in your hips, slight straightening or slight opening of the angle behind your knees. And breathe. Some repetitive motion so you can get into it. How are your toes doing? How are your quads doing? 5, 4, 3, 2. Stay low on your knees. Palms up. Hang out here for a moment as we transition into our next song. Hold, hold. Wrists at elbow height. 90 degrees for 3. For 2, a little bit lower on your knees if you can. 1. All right, come on up. Curtsy work for our triceps. Getting a little fancy tonight. Start off in your first position with your heels and toes turn out. Take your left step, cross behind, bend in both knees. We're on the ball of our back foot. And we're taking a hinge forward in our chest towards our thigh. Elbows lifted behind your body. Tricep kick back. Kick and forward. Straighten, bend. Whew. So my goal here, when we're static on one side, so our movement is happening in our triceps. But then when we're holding our triceps, we'll do some side-to-side work. So stick with me in terms of a little bit of a hinge. Just we're not trying to be all the way up here straight. Just enough hinge forward, a little bit of a send back to your hips. You don't have to be way forward here. You're not parallel to the ground. Doesn't have to be too far. Make sure you mind your low back. Kick back, bend, back, and bend. 10 seconds. Chins away from your chest. If you're looking down at your toes or even to your back toes, no. Chin away from your chest. 2 feet in front of your front toes. Go ahead, extend to your elbows, pull, really reach to your knuckles, pull your shoulder blades together. Once you're feeling stable there, do side to side, step a little bit out, toes turned out, cross the other foot behind. So you can do a curtsy squat really deeply. Open up, cross, other foot behind, bend to your knees. So we'll switch side to side, your pace. Always minding a pace that you're feeling, that you can do with integrity in your posture. Side to side. Nice big cross. 4, 3, 2. Switch to your other side, whichever leg was in front before. Second side. Pulse up. Lift. Lift. Still static in your hips. I know with the tendency back here as we're lifting up through our tricep pulses, that maybe you're gonna wanna do a pulse in your legs. We didn't do that on the first set, so let's try and keep it even on both sides. And then if you really want, we could do some curtsy pulses later. Up, up. How's your front side of your core doing? Are you holding strong with your belly button to your spine so that your low back isn't taking all of the load, not softening forward towards the ground? 15 seconds. Inhale. Exhale. It could be some slower breathing since we're in one place. For 4, 3, 2, into a squat with our toes at parallel. Squeeze in now with your palms towards your midline. We'll finish out here. I think we got about 40 seconds left of the song, 30, 40 seconds. In. Really straight through your elbows. Lift your chest up a little bit if you need. Squeeze, squeeze. Chin away from your chest, right there. Elbows extra straight, so we're making sure that we're targeting our triceps here. I know shoulders are feeling it too. For 3, for 2, and 1. Come on up. Weights can go off to the side. Air 5. Grab onto your block. Or something of the like. Now, heels can always stay planted if your ankles are not feeling it today, but if you're all right with coming off of your heels, rather than holding off of your heels, just use a little bit of support today. Hands on hips or something to balance with. All the way as far as you can manage down. We'll do a full extension up to your knees, so full straightening. Lower it down, 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 coming back up, up, up. Lower, 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 straighten up, up, up. Hopefully you're not hearing the motorcycles outside of my apartment. Come back up, up, up. Keep it going as I switch for profile view. Remember, knees are okay, heading over toes if we are intentional about it, because we're looking to load our quads here. And other people often refer to this as a sissy squat. Sometimes that's more if you've got like a angled platform for your feet to be on, but you get a pretty close effect with a block underneath your heels. We have some support here. Quad focused movement. Really trying to be aware of where your limit is with your knees. You're not trying to get your booty all the way down to the ground. And when you get to the top of the movement, think about your kneecaps, really trying to reach up towards your hips. Ooh, big squeeze when you get up there. Lower, 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 straighten up. Next time you lower down into your knees, hang out right where you're feeling all right with it, feeling slightly challenged, and pulse, pulse, pulse. Hands can stay on hips or maybe out to the side. You can play around with your placement, maybe hands in front or arms overhead. And as you play around with it, just notice where the different placement, how it changes the load in your legs, maybe in your core also, maybe in the posture in your back of your neck. We'll be here about 20 more seconds. I'm up here because I'm doing some quick computer adjusting on my end. Keep forgetting about some of the apps I have on my computer. One actually makes the screen a little bit warmer as we get into sunset, and because this time of year, sunset's earlier, boo. So a little bit kicks in earlier during class. 5, 4, good, 3, 2, staying low in your knees. A kick out with one leg to the side, straighten back in, straighten back in, straighten back in. Whew. And if you're feeling your heel, get a little bit irritated of being on the block, maybe replace with pillows, or you can come down for this one. So I think certainly nothing wrong with that. You still extend out to the side. You might have to bring your toes a little bit wider. Reach and back in with your front view. Reach and back in. Or you're like, well, I'm going to keep my foot on the block. That's fine. I've got a wood block. Maybe that's why mine was getting irritated. But also, I I have to remember not to put all of my weight into my heel. I'm trying to mimic having my heel off the ground. So really ball of my foot. Tap, back, out, in. 4, 3, 2. Next time you reach your leg out, stay, lift your toes up an inch, up an inch. Getting to the side of our hip. Up, up, up. 15 seconds. Again, choice is yours with your arms. You see what happens if I do my arms overhead. Woo! This one really kicks my core into high gear. Even my standing legs get a little shaky. Lift. 4, 3, 2. Feet back to center, side 2. Somebody's curious and at my feet. Oh my goodness. Can I reach? Yes, I can. Reach, back in. Reach, back in. Remember, mimicking heel being off the ground with outer support. So weight goes into the ball of your foot as much as you can. Big press through all of your toes. In, reach, in, reach. I have to watch out for this one behind me. Her name is Jovi. She's very smart, very sweet. And unfortunately, I think she has a habit of peeing when she's excited. So she has done it on the couch to my side here, this lavender couch, within the last week. And unfortunately, also in my Papasan chair. So anytime I see her meandering around the furniture, staring them right in the eyes. 3, you got 2, left foot out, hold. Now your lift, lift. See if you can make sure your hips aren't like lowering down. You're not leaning too far into your standing leg side either. You've got your heel trying to lift off of your block. All these things to think about, but stable right at your center. Maybe play with your arms 15 more seconds. Make sure you're not pushing forward through your chest. The split of your rib cage staying close together rather than spreading apart. 4, 3, 2, 1. Both feet down, first position. Remember I talked about doing some curtsy pulses? Well, here they are. Step your left leg. Actually, let's do whichever leg was lifting to the side just now. Plant that foot open out to 45 and cross your other leg behind. Yeah, because you're just stabilizing on your leg. Pulse here. Pulse. Pulse. And instead of a chest hinge forward, let's actually do a little bit of a lift, slight lift up. Maybe we've got the space to go straight with shoulders over hips. Make sure your front knee is bent. Make sure your back toes rather than foot is on the ground. Good. All right. Do some fun. Have a little fun with standing core work. So before we switch to the other side, turn your front toes closer to parallel, fingertips behind your ears, a little bit of a knee towards your elbow, and then back. And maybe it's not fully parallel with your front toes, but a little bit closer to parallel. Take your time. Doesn't have to be super wildly rapid pace. See if you can think about balancing on your front leg. One more up. Let's switch sides. Arms come back down. Leg steps out, cross. Head into your pulse. Down, down, down. We're groovy with the music. Doing some shimmies. Doing some shimmies. Having fun with your arm placement. I think we're here about 30 seconds because I was talking about my foster kitties and their mischievous behavior. And it'd be kind of sweet if they did it because they were really excited because they both do it. One on furniture, one not, unfortunately. Pulse. Pulse, you got 4. For 3. And it get kind of big. 2. And 1, bring your fingertips up. A little bit closer to parallel with your front toes or midline parallel. Side crunch, lift, thigh close to your elbow. Woo, cross behind. Big exhale when you come up. Don't worry about how high your thigh goes. Want you to focus on 2 areas. The strength in your standing leg to bring you up with a good squeeze. And then that slight crunch to your side, whether your leg lifts up as high as mine, or even higher. You're going higher, but you're not really focusing on your balance and you're just going for the swing up, quality over quantity. Go for one more. Awesome. All right, hands down to your mats, however you want to get there. Knees down, staggered push-up. One hand, let's go for right, is going to be more or less underneath our shoulder. Other hand, with fingers facing forward, shifts a little bit forward in front of our shoulder. Let's do this with knees down on the ground. Make sure your hips are lifted in line with your knees. There we go. Lower and press up. I have to go the other direction. All right, keep it going. Inhale as you lower down. Exhale as you come up. As you're going for the hard part of the muscle movement, the harder part. They're both hard. So we're looking for the exhales to support us in our contraction. I'm warm, so pardon me while I pull down to my sports top. Had to make sure that's what I was wearing. Not gonna lie. All right, one more. Down to your elbows, forearm plank. It could be with knees down to start. Big press to your elbows, forearms. Maybe tuck your toes, maybe press your heels to lift your knees up. Hang out here, hold. Big inhale. Exhale. 15 more seconds. Lengthen through the top of your head as much as you're trying to reach back through your heels. Don't look back at your knees. Don't look back at your toes. 5, 4, 3, 2. Staggered push up with the other hand reaching a little bit forward and the other hand right around underneath your shoulders. Make sure your middle fingers are pointing forward. Lower and press up. Hands don't have to be quite as narrow though. I'm actually going to adjust mine a little bit wider. So going for the elbows reaching back rather than angled out into a fairly wide V shape. A lot of tricep work. I feel like triceps don't get enough attention pretty much ever, unfortunately. Lower, press up. Maybe 1 or 2 more rounds. Meet me in a plank. Knees can be down or maybe up. Hang out here, watch your elbows. 5, 4, strong shoulders. 3, you got it. 2 and 1. Lower your knees down. Take a moment, tabletop or child's pose or just something that helps you relieve a bit of what's going on in your shoulders. I'm going to do some hip and shoulder circles. Before we go anywhere up to standing, let's actually take our chest down towards our mat. Bring your hands back where your pinkies are next to your sides, your palms face down, and our thumbs rather face outward. Inhale to prep. Exhale, lift your tops of your feet, shins, maybe knees, maybe a little bit of your thighs up, forehead, chest. Press your hands into the mat for a moment. Look straight down rather than forward in front of you at the wall. Straight down. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and on your exhale, big rapid exhale, lift your hands a little bit off the ground if you can. Reach your fingertips like you're trying to reach towards your heels. Shoulder blades are squeezed in and down your back. Now let's see if we can pulse our pinkies in towards our midline as we stay lifted. Feet can be separated. Doesn't have to be close together. I feel more comfortable on my low back if my feet or heels are separated. Squeeze, squeeze. Back of your head is trying to push up towards the ceiling. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Quick hip wiggle. Hands underneath your shoulders, coming up through tabletop. Exhale. And sort of meet me in downward facing dog. Let's do a step forward with our foot between our hands. Low lunge with knee on the ground and come on up. It's a different way to get here. It doesn't have to start in a downward facing dog. Come out of the lunge just a bit, enough to squeeze your glutes, a little bit of a tailbone tuck, and then actively go forward into your hips. You get a good squeeze along the front of your hip. without hypermobile movement forward. Let's take, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, palms face forward, arms to a T shape in line with your shoulders. Inhale, lengthen through the top of your head. Exhale, start to twist with your rib cage rather than your back of your backhand towards your front thigh. Maybe you're here. And I'm looking at myself, I'm like, oop, shoulders are too high. Pull shoulders down. Exhales, rotating through my rib cage. Take your arm up, sweep overhead, palms face each other. Inhale, square off. Exhale, fingertips down so you can tuck your back toes, press your heel off your knee. Scoot your foot forward just a little bit. Let's go for pyramid. So heel kind of in line with your tailbone, but turned out with your toes 45 degrees in your back foot. Front foot facing straight forward. Square your hips off. So it means come out of your back for a moment. Press into your front heel and lead with your chest forward, trying to keep your hips mainly squared off. Not entirely, but mainly. Big press into your back heel. Start off with your hands on your front thigh, and maybe if you've got the space, you can allow yourself to move further forward, but we're not trying to be down here with this curve in our back. Not the purpose, at least not at the moment. Think about your inner thighs trying to squeeze together towards your midline for balance. All right, and if you are folded forward with the space that you have, just slowly lift up halfway so your chest is more or less parallel to the ground. Step forward, chair pose, feet parallel. Hips sink back. Maybe you reach forward with your hands. If you want to do arms overhead, just make sure you have the space in your shoulders. Shouldn't feel like we're tense in our neck. 4, 3, 2. Inhale, straighten through your knees, arms reach. Exhale, hands down to your side for a moment. And trying to roll through your shoulders, chin to chest, make your way down to your mat. Rather than our typical like flat fold, round fold down. Step back, inhale. Exhale, lower any halfway lower if you'd like. Inhale to your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. And I know this time we're gonna do our step forward. Other foot comes forward. If your foot gets stuck along the way, hand grabs. Doesn't mean anything other than perhaps just a difference in anatomy. Go for your active tuck first, and then a little bit of that active reach forward. Any tuck's going to be active, really. Couple of breaths. All right, you're feeling balanced here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms open, palms face forward. Inhale to prep. From your rib cage, twist. Exhale. Towards your front thigh. Front heel pressing into the ground. One more bit of a twist. Inhale, square off, both arms up. Exhale, fingertips down, tuck your back toes, knee comes off the ground. And then tuck your foot forward so you can spin your left heel down, pyramid. I like to come up and adjust my hips before going for a fold, or at least a reach forward in my chest. Front heel has a good press in the ground, so does your back heel. Front toes face straight, back toes about 45 degrees, maybe a little bit narrower in angle off to the side. Separate tracks though. If you're in a fold, inhale, lift your way up, step to chair, back foot forward, meets the other. Sink into your hips, into your heels. Go for a reach if you'd like. Just aim for chin away from your chest. Back of your neck is feeling strong and your shoulders aren't tensing up to your ears. Be here for 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, fold. Rather than going into flat back, let's reach through your fingertips, fall and face each other. Start to sink your hips down towards the ground. And then, boop, feet comes down. Look at that. Grab onto your core ball. And I'm bringing my camera down with me. Ooh, hope we're doing well. Core ball is at the lower part of your back, kind of wedged into the ground, feet in front, separated, knees bent. Go for a reach forward with our hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, let yourself start to reach back with your shoulders. Find your wiggle spot where you start to feel your abs really wiggle. And then we go for a pulse. Up, up, exhale, exhale. I want to make sure you don't have to hear me the whole time. If you need some space in your shoulders, we could do a slight flip up with our palms. Reach, reach. It's really hard for me to do this movement without breathing too loudly. So maybe you're chiming in instead. But exhales for me through my mouth, especially in an O shape with these kinds of crunches, really helps me feel supported, feeling a contraction in my abs for the lift and a shortening of the front muscles here. Up, up, up. Chin away from your chest slightly. Maybe looking at your knees or a little bit above. Up. Now we're going to reverse this in about 10 seconds, going for 2 or 3 part lowering, and then 1 smooth lift up. In 3, you got 2. Go ahead, lift for a reach, still keeping your feet on the ground, sit bones down. And we go for a 1, 2, 3, exhale up. 1, 2, 3, exhale lift. 1, 2, 3, up. 1, 2, 3, up. Keep it going. Your own pace, of course. I'm just going with the song. It's easier for me to keep counts and not be thrown off. But we're looking to hit that like stretch when we get back here, a little bit more lengthening in our abs, and a nice big quick contraction up. We're actually trying to resist gravity going back. It's obvious, right? All right, so let's take fall from our low back. Lean back into a reverse tabletop. And you can do feet on the ground for this, or even backs of your legs if you've got a chair nearby and rest. Actually, you need to do this with feet up. I'm feeling strong about it today. Palms to the tops of your thighs, one of my favorites. As you inhale, no pressure here, but as you exhale, try to press your hands into your thighs and your thighs press back into your hands. Try to keep your back neutral though with the floor. It's a big exhale. Big shakes happening. Inhale, release, and repeat. So inhale is your point where you let your muscles between your hips all the way up, relax. Exhale is big, press hands into your thighs. Let's do about 15 more seconds worth, whenever that is in terms of quantity with your breath cycles. Go for the last one. Release your feet down to the mat. Core ball or equivalent, back up here. Let's do this right below of where our knees are. So a little bit closer to the center of our thighs, but not all the way. Feet planted well on the ground. Press into your heel, tuck, and do a bit of a bridge lift. So we're going for a straighter line. Squeeze your knees in towards your midline now. Lift. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So rather than pushing up with our hips, we're staying static in the distance of our hips to floor, but between our knees, we're trying to squeeze either pillow or core ball in. And it's a quick squeeze release, quick squeeze release. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Shoulders while pressed on the ground, same thing with your back of your head. Squeeze, squeeze. Are you pressing into your heels too? I hope so. Now we get our glutes activated here. Squeeze, squeeze. Inner thighs are feeling it too. Squeeze, squeeze. 15 seconds. We have one move on each side, and I think that wraps us up. If I'm estimating with the song correctly. 5, 4, 3, 2, lower your hips. Let's go for a block underneath one foot. Press, lift, squeeze the ball between your knees, other toes, go for an extension. Go with the ball there if we can, and tap back down. Reach, tap, reach, tap. So what I'm trying to do is go for a big heel press into my block. And as my leg extends forward, your thighs still stay pretty much on the same plane, but foot's extending forward is making sure that this ball doesn't wobble a whole bunch between my knees and thighs. And glutes feel that. Reach. Reach. Good. 4, 3, 2. Let's go for side 2. Which you can either have foot directly get put on there or lower your hips down. Big press into your heel. Make sure you're feeling strong. Other toes. Reach. Bend. Reach. Bend. I love doing the single side stuff because I'm always, one side's always like, oh no, this is a terrible choice. And that's the side where I'm like, and we're getting stronger. You can use your elbows to press on the ground if you need. 5 more seconds or 5 more kicks roughly. And then if you got space on whatever you're using to lift, let's have both feet close together with some heel raises off the ground. 4, 3, 2, both feet down. So heels are pretty close together. Let's do a heel, slight raise, lower, raise. You know what? Lock off to the side, feet down for this one. 10 seconds left. Hips are lifted. A little bit of a tuck. Heels, lift up, lower down. Block was too high. Too high. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Lower your hips down. A little bit of a sway in your knees side to side. Seems like a jazzy cool down moment. Knees into your chest for a moment. If you want to do some sway side to side. Some ankle circles, feet circles. I think the music's a little bit of a testament of like still raised energy for the class. We'll get to our really full cool down in our next song. So let's do some stretches. Knee to chest. Maybe a twist to the side. Exhale. Strain your twist. Feeling like a badass. From all this movement, all the strengthening. Other knee in. Big stretch. Reach with the other straight leg. And cross over. Oh my goodness. Amazing. Maybe get some good back pops in there. And back to center. A great self-adjustment that you can do. So knees bent. Start off feet close to center. Walk them away. Let your knees walk away enough so that your knees can fall in towards each other. You're making a triangle shank between your knees, to your shins, to your ankles if someone was looking from the front side. Take your thumbs, kind of tuck them in to your hip crevice, right just below the front of your pelvic bone, where your thighs meet your pelvis. Inhale, lengthen, and it's kind of what we did before in the reverse tabletop. As you exhale, try to press a little bit of your thighs, not just straight away from your shoulders, but away and up a little bit. And see if that does anything for your low back of a good feeling. You might even need to grip your fingers to the side. Jovi, get down. She wants to say hello. Inhale, release. Maybe out to a butterfly with your knees. As the song hopefully wraps up soon. If anything, I'm fading it out. So let us ease into our soaking up of our class, into our restful posture. Couple more breaths. Don't mind me adjusting our music. Oh, we're almost there. Pause 3, 2, 1. And here we are with our calm music. Oh, lovely. Give ourselves about 3-4 minutes here in some sort of a restful posture. Could be on your back, could be on your seat, could be on your back with your knees bent, feet down. I'm going to hush myself for about the next 3 minutes. And as I send you off into your restful posture, you see how your breath guides you here. Rather than trying to control your breathing, let your intelligent lungs guide you into a more restful state. Maybe notice your rib cage expansion and contraction as you cycle through your breathing. Wherever you're at in your resting posture, if you want to wrap up on your feet, now is a good time to start to bring a deeper breath back into your lungs. Maybe some movement into your extremities, working towards your center. Just take your time. You need to stay right where you are too if wrapping up on your back feels lovely. If you're watching a recorded version of this, it'll end. If you're here live with me during class, we'll wrap up without you having to do a thing. Whether you're making your way up onto your seat or still remaining in a restful, maybe reclined posture, we'll close things out with my favorite 3 breaths. 1 breath in big for yourself. Exhale through your mouth. Breath in for your community, your Shakti community. Inhale. And exhale. Sending it beyond you for appreciation. Inhale. And exhale. And there we are. Thank you for joining. Make sure you get plenty rest, liquids, refuel. Thank you so much.